Siberia, the eastern part of Russia, a vast region that stretches from the Ural Mountains to the Pacific Ocean. How vast? Siberia alone covers about 13 million square kilometers, larger than the entire United States and Europe combined. And yet, what most of the world knows about this land remains frozen in stereotype. For many, it represents the coldest place on Earth. A synonym for endless forests and frozen emptiness. And yes, those things exist. But in reality, it is far more than that. It's a continent inside a country. Lakes so deep, they hold a fifth of Earth's fresh water. Snow-capped mountains, alpine meadows, smoking volcanoes, hissing geysers, remote islands surrounded by raging waves of the Pacific, and glaciers that glitter under the sun. Despite harsh conditions, people still live here. Indigenous hunters, nomads with reindeer, but also whole cities, concrete and glass built on permafrost. And the largest of them is Yakutsk, the coldest major city on Earth, where winter temperatures plunge below -60 degrees Celsius, and residents leave their cars running all day to prevent the engines from freezing solid. Our journey begins in the south, where Siberia meets Central Asia. The Altai Mountains rise like ancient guardians along the borders of Russia, Mongolia, East Turkestan, and Kazakhstan. These peaks hold secrets older than memory, where snow leopards prowl and golden eagles soar above valleys carved by time. Here, the harsh Siberian cold gives way to something more varied. Alpine meadows bloom in summer, glacial rivers rush through gorges, and nomadic traditions continue as they have for thousands of years. The Chuya Pass tests even the most seasoned travelers. This mountain road drops 800 meters in just 3.5 kilometers, zigzagging down a cliff face in 9 sharp turns. Locals call it the gateway to another world, and they speak truth. The descent feels like leaving one realm for another. Above, the high plateau stretches endless and windswept. Below, a hidden valley opens up, green and alive. The Chuya Valley waits at the bottom like a reward for brave souls. This remote canyon stretches for over 100 kilometers, following the Chuya River as it winds between towering cliffs. Waterfalls cascade from heights that make them appear as silver threads against dark rock. The valley floor blooms with wildflowers in summer, while autumn turns the larches golden. Few roads reach this place, keeping it wild and untouched. Ancient petroglyphs mark the rocks here, left by peoples who understood these mountains long before maps existed. The Altai remains sacred to many indigenous groups who still practice traditional ways. They know every peak has a name, every spring has a spirit. In this corner of Siberia, The land speaks its own language, one of stone and snow, river and sky. We venture deeper into the Altai Range, where hidden waters reveal themselves in mountain valleys. This mountain lake stretches for 78 kilometers through the Altai Mountains, its waters reaching depths of 325 meters. Local Altai people call it Altin Kul, meaning Golden Lake, after ancient legends speak of a golden statue resting on its floor. The lake holds water so clear that visibility extends down 40 meters, revealing a world beneath the surface few ever witness. The journey continues to Geyser Lake, a small but remarkable body of water hidden in the Altai Republic. This thermal wonder measures only 30 meters across, yet its shallow basin creates one of nature's most unusual displays. Clay deposits on the lake bottom form perfect circles that shift and change with each bubble of gas rising from thermal springs below. The water stays crystal clear year-round, never freezing even when winter temperatures drop to minus 40 degrees. These clay patterns appear to breathe, expanding and contracting in hypnotic rhythms. Lake Teletskoye sits high in the Katun Ridge at 1,790 meters above sea level. Fed by glacial melt from the surrounding peaks, its waters carry a distinctive turquoise color that shifts from deep blue to milky green depending on the season. The lake formed thousands of years ago when glaciers carved out this alpine valley, leaving behind a basin now filled with the coldest, clearest water in the region. Even in summer, the temperature rarely rises above 5 degrees Celsius. These three lakes represent different phases of Siberia's water wealth. From Teletskoye's ancient depths to Geyser Lake's thermal artistry and Teletskoye's glacial purity, each tells its own story of geological forces at work. Together, they show how water shapes this land in ways both dramatic and subtle, creating sanctuaries of liquid beauty in one of Earth's harshest regions. Our path climbs higher still, to where Mount Belukha rises as the crown of the Altai Range. Mount Belukha rises from the Altai Mountains, the highest peak in this ancient range. At 4,506 meters, it stands as a sacred summit for multiple cultures. Local peoples call it Uch Sumer, meaning three peaks, and consider it the gateway between earth and sky. The mountain itself wears a permanent crown of ice and snow. Glaciers flow down its flanks like frozen rivers, carving valleys over millennia. These ice fields feed the headwaters of major rivers, including the Ob, which flows all the way to the Arctic Ocean. Climbers who attempt Belukha face severe weather, unstable ice, and altitude that tests human limits. Yet every summer, expeditions arrive, drawn by the challenge and the mountain's spiritual significance. Southwest of Belukha, the landscape transforms into something otherworldly. The Kyzyl-Chin Valley looks like Mars transported to Earth. Red, orange, and yellow striped hills stretch across the horizon, their colors created by ancient minerals oxidizing over millions of years. No vegetation grows on these painted slopes. Wind and rain have sculpted the soft rock into ridges and gullies that change with each storm. Locals call it the Rainbow Mountains, though the stark beauty feels more alien than earthly. Connecting these remote wonders runs the Chuya Highway, one of Russia's most spectacular roads. This ribbon of asphalt winds for nearly 1,000 kilometers through the Altai Republic. The route follows ancient trade paths, once used by merchants carrying silk and spices between Mongolia and Russia. Today, the highway passes through deep gorges, alongside rushing rivers, and over mountain passes where eagles soar. Each turn reveals new geography, from desert steppes to alpine meadows to dense taiga forests. We follow mountain valleys down to where the Chuya River cuts through the Altai in turquoise ribbons. This remote corner of southern Siberia shows us landscapes that defy every northern stereotype. Here, the land transforms into something unexpected and wild. The Kurai steppe stretches wide beneath towering peaks, a high-altitude grassland that rolls like golden waves. This ancient plain sits at 1,500 meters above sea level, where winds sweep unbroken across the open ground. Herders have moved their animals through these grasslands for thousands of years. In summer, the steppe blooms with wildflowers that carpet the earth in purple and yellow. The Chuya River itself runs cold and clear through this dramatic landscape. Born in the glaciers of the North Chuya Range, its waters carry the memory of ice even in summer. The river has carved deep gorges through solid rock over millions of years. Rapids crash white against boulders, while calmer stretches reflect the sky like mirrors. Local people call it the Blue River for its striking turquoise color. Rising above everything stands the Kurai Ridge, a wall of rock and snow that marks the steppe's southern boundary. These mountains catch the first light of dawn and hold the last glow of sunset. Ancient petroglyphs dot the lower slopes, carved by nomadic peoples who passed through centuries ago. The ridge creates its own weather, pulling clouds from the sky and sending shadows racing across the grasslands below. Our journey carries us north into the western Sayan Mountains, where nature sculpts with an artist's hand. Yergaki National Park rises from the western Sayan Mountains in southern Siberia. Here, granite peaks pierce the sky like ancient cathedrals. Dense forests give way to alpine meadows, and crystal-clear mountain lakes reflect the drama above. Parabola Peak stands as the park's most recognizable landmark. Its curved summit creates a perfect arc against the sky, as if drawn by a compass rather than carved by time. The granite formation rises over 2,000 meters, its smooth walls challenging even experienced climbers. Morning light turns the rock face golden, while evening shadows reveal every crack and ledge etched into the stone. The hanging stone defies logic with its precarious balance. This massive boulder, weighing several tons, rests on the edge of a cliff with only a tiny contact point holding it in place. Local legends say that when the stone finally falls, the world will end. For now, it remains suspended, a testament to the precise forces of erosion and gravity. Throughout Yergaki, taiga forests blend with mountain tundra in ways found nowhere else in Siberia. Bears roam the lower slopes, while snow leopards hunt the highest ridges. The park preserves a landscape where geological wonders meet pristine wilderness. Each peak and valley tells its own story, written in stone over millions of years. We travel further north to the forests near Krasnoyarsk, where ancient granite pillars rise from the taiga like stone sentinels. Their forms carved by millions of years of wind and weather. The locals call them Stolby, meaning pillars, and these rock formations have become sacred ground for climbers and nature lovers alike. Each pillar bears its own name, its own personality, shaped by time. The Stolby themselves stand between 10 and 90 meters tall, their surfaces weathered into curves and cracks that seem almost organic. Some resemble animals frozen in stone, others look like human figures reaching toward the sky. The grandfather rock watches over the valley with its craggy face. The feathers formations spread stone wings across the hillside. Local climbers have been scaling these rocks for over a century, developing their own style of free climbing they call Stolbism. No ropes, no gear, just hands and feet against ancient granite. Further south, the Sunduki archaeological complex tells different stories through stone. These 8 sandstone hills hold secrets dating back 5,000 years. Ancient peoples carved astronomical markers into the rock faces here, creating what some call the Siberian Stonehenge. The hills themselves look like massive chests or trunks, which is what Sunduki means in Russian. Each hill served as an observatory where shamans tracked the movements of sun and stars. Rock art covers the surfaces, showing hunters, animals, and celestial symbols that still puzzle researchers today. The Sayan Mountains complete this trinity of stone wonders, stretching across southern Siberia in a massive arc. These peaks divide Russia from Mongolia, their slopes covered in cedar and larch forests that give way to alpine meadows and bare rock. highest summits reach over 3,000 meters, staying snow-capped through summer. Rivers born in these mountains have carved deep valleys where indigenous Tuvan people still practice traditional herding. The Sahyans hold some of Asia's most remote wilderness, places where snow leopards hunt and bears roam valleys that few humans have ever seen. Among all of Siberia's natural wonders, one stands supreme. Lake Baikal stretches across the southern edge of this frozen land, a body of water so vast and deep it defies comprehension. This ancient lake holds more fresh water than all of North America's Great Lakes combined. Its surface freezes into a sheet of crystal-clear ice each winter, while beneath, life thrives in waters that plunge to depths of over 1,600 meters. Lake Baikal formed 25 million years ago, making it the oldest lake on Earth. Its waters remain so pure you can see 40 meters down on clear days. The lake stretches 636 kilometers long, yet its width rarely exceeds 80 kilometers. Local Buryat people call it the Sacred Sea, and standing on its shores, you understand why. Mountains rise directly from the water's edge, their peaks reflected in the mirror-like surface. From Lake Baikal flows only one river, the Angara. This powerful waterway begins its journey at the southwestern tip of the lake near the town of Listvianka. The Angara never freezes at its source, even when temperatures drop to -40. Steam rises from the moving water in winter, creating a mystical fog that drifts across the frozen landscape. The river carries Baikal's crystal-clear waters northwest for over 1,800 kilometers before joining the mighty Yenisei. We cross Baikal's waters to where Olkhon Island rises from the depths like a world unto itself. This sacred island stretches 72 kilometers long and 15 kilometers wide, making it the fourth largest lake island on Earth. The Buryat people call it the heart of Baikal, where shamanic traditions run as deep as the surrounding waters. Here, ancient beliefs blend with raw natural power, creating a landscape both physical and spiritual. Cape Birken, known locally as Shamanka Rock, stands as the island's most sacred site. Twin peaks of white marble and limestone thrust from the water's edge, their pale stone catching light like frozen lightning. For centuries, this has been the residence of Birkan, the main deity of Lake Baikal. Buddhist prayer flags flutter in the wind, while shamanic totems mark the approach. Local Buryat people still perform rituals here, asking permission before passing the sacred rock. Cape Koboy marks the northern tip of Olkhon, where cliffs drop straight into Baikal's depths. The name means fang in Buryat, and standing here, we understand why. Sharp rock formations jut toward the sky like ancient teeth. On clear days, the view stretches across the lake to the Barguzin Mountains on the opposite shore. Seals sometimes surface in the waters below, the world's only freshwater seal species found nowhere else but Baikal. Life on Olkhon moves to rhythms older than memory. Small villages dot the steppe landscape, where horses graze freely and eagles circle overhead. Summer brings wildflowers that carpet the hills in purple and yellow. Winter transforms everything into a crystalline world of ice and snow. Through every season, the island remains what it has always been, a place where Earth's power feels close enough to touch. A short boat journey from Olkhon carries us to an even smaller sanctuary where ancient wisdom meets modern pilgrimage. Ogoy Island rises from Lake Baikal's crystalline depths, a small rocky outcrop that holds profound spiritual significance. This tiny island, barely 800 meters long, draws visitors from across the world. They come not for its size, but for what stands at its highest point. The Buddhist stupa of enlightenment crowns the island like a white beacon against blue sky. Built in 2005, this sacred structure follows ancient Tibetan design principles. Its gleaming white dome catches sunlight and reflects it across Baikal's waters. Prayer flags flutter in the lake breeze, their colors bright against the stark landscape. Inside the stupa rest sacred texts, mantras, and relics blessed by Buddhist teachers. The structure itself serves as a three-dimensional mandala, representing the enlightened mind. Visitors circle it clockwise, following Buddhist tradition, their footsteps wearing smooth the rocky path. From this vantage point, Lake Baikal stretches endlessly in all directions, its depths holding 1/5 of Earth's fresh water. We leave Baikal's shores and travel northeast, following rivers deep into Yakutia to witness one of nature's most striking sculptures. The Lena Pillars rise from the riverbank like ancient sentinels, their limestone towers reaching over 200 meters into the sky. These vertical cliffs stretch for 40 kilometers along the Lena River, creating a natural fortress that has stood for 500 million years. Time and weather carved these formations from an ancient seabed, leaving behind columns that seem almost too perfect to be natural. The Lena River itself flows beneath these stone giants as one of Russia's great waterways. Beginning in the Baikal Mountains, it travels over 4,000 kilometers north to the Arctic Ocean. During summer, its waters run clear and cold, reflecting the pillars like a mirror. In winter, the river freezes solid, becoming an ice highway that locals have used for centuries. The Yakut people call it Elyin, meaning the large river, and their ancestors navigated these waters long before any maps existed. Further west flows another of Siberia's mighty rivers, the Yenisei. This waterway divides Siberia in half, separating the western plains from the eastern highlands. From its source in Mongolia, the Yenisei runs 5,500 kilometers to the Arctic, making it one of the longest river systems on Earth. Its basin holds more water than any other Russian river, draining an area larger than Argentina. Where the Yenisei meets the Taiga, Vast forests line its banks, home to brown bears, wolves, and the last wild herds of reindeer. These rivers and pillars exist in a land of extremes, where summer brings endless daylight and winter plunges into perpetual darkness. The Lena Pillars change color with the seasons, from golden in autumn sunlight to blue-white when covered in frost. Both rivers freeze for months, their surfaces becoming roads of ice thick enough to support trucks. Yet beneath the frozen surface, life continues, and when spring arrives, the ice breaks with sounds like thunder, releasing the waters to flow north once more. Yet beyond the frozen cities and endless forests lies something unexpected in this land of extremes. The Chara Sands emerge from the Siberian wilderness like a mirage, a small desert surrounded by snow-capped mountains and dense taiga forests. This patch of sand dunes stretches across 40 square kilometers in the Zabaikalsky region. Here, golden sand rises into dunes 30 meters high, creating a landscape that belongs more to Central Asia than to Siberia. The Siberian taiga surrounds these unlikely sands, forming the world's largest forest. These woods stretch across millions of square kilometers, a green ocean of larch, pine, and fir trees. Brown bears roam between the trunks, while wolves hunt in packs through the undergrowth. In winter, the taiga transforms into a silent white wilderness where temperatures drop to -50 degrees. Summer brings clouds of mosquitoes and brief explosions of wildflowers that carpet the forest floor. Further west, the West Siberian taiga spreads across the Great Plain between the Ural Mountains and the Yenisei River. This forest grows on the world's largest swamp system, where water and trees merge into an endless maze. Rivers snake through these wetlands, their dark waters reflecting the pale northern sky. Moose wade through shallow pools, while Siberian cranes nest in remote clearings. The indigenous Khanty and Mansi peoples have navigated these waterways for thousands of years, following reindeer herds and fishing in the countless streams. These three faces of Siberia reveal the true complexity of this vast land. Desert sands rise where they should not exist. Ancient forests shelter creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Wetlands stretch to horizons that seem to curve with the planet itself. Each landscape tells its own story of survival and adaptation in one of Earth's most challenging environments. We venture into true wilderness now, where even the hardiest souls rarely travel, to one of Siberia's most extraordinary secrets. This massive volcanic highland spreads across an area larger than Great Britain, yet remains virtually unknown to the outside world. Located in the heart of northern Siberia, it forms a natural fortress of basalt cliffs and deep canyons. The plateau stands as one of Earth's last great wildernesses, untouched by roads or permanent human presence. Ancient volcanic forces shaped this land over 250 million years ago. Layer upon layer of lava flows built the plateau into a series of flat-topped mountains and steep-sided valleys. Today, these basalt formations create a landscape unlike anywhere else on the planet. Waterfalls cascade from cliff tops, some dropping more than 100 meters into mist-shrouded gorges below. During summer, thousands of these waterfalls appear as snowmelt feeds temporary streams across the plateau's surface. The isolation has preserved a complete Arctic ecosystem within these mountains. Wild reindeer migrate through the valleys in herds numbering tens of thousands. Arctic foxes hunt among the rocks while golden eagles soar above the cliffs. In the brief summer months, the tundra bursts with color as millions of wildflowers bloom across the plateau. Lakes fill the deepest basins, their waters so pure and cold they remain crystal clear even at depths of several hundred meters. This untamed wilderness continues to exist as it has for millennia, shaped only by the forces of nature and the changing seasons. Our path turns north to the Arctic frontier, where the Yamal Peninsula stretches deep into frozen seas. A land of endless tundra where winter darkness lasts for months. This finger of frozen earth reaches beyond the Arctic Circle, where temperatures drop to -50 degrees Celsius. Yet even here, in this seemingly impossible landscape, life persists. The Nenets people have called this peninsula home for over 1,000 years. These indigenous reindeer herders move with the seasons across the tundra, following ancient migration routes passed down through generations. Their traditional camps, called chums, dot the landscape like white pyramids against the snow. Made from reindeer skins stretched over wooden poles, these portable homes withstand Arctic storms that would destroy modern structures. Inside the camps, life follows rhythms unchanged for centuries. Families gather around central fires while blizzards rage outside. Children learn to lasso reindeer before they learn to read. Women sew clothing from reindeer hide using bone needles, creating garments that protect against cold no synthetic material can match. The Nenets speak their own language, practice shamanic traditions, and maintain a connection to the land that runs deeper than survival. Their reindeer herds number in the thousands, moving across the peninsula in massive migrations. These animals provide everything: transportation, clothing, shelter, and food. The relationship between the Nenets and their reindeer goes beyond ownership. It represents a partnership forged over millennia in one of the harshest environments on Earth. As the modern world presses in with gas pipelines and climate change, the Nenets continue their eternal journey across the tundra, keepers of knowledge that exists nowhere else. In the heart of this frozen continent lies the Yakutia region, also known as the Sakha Republic. This territory spans over 3 million square kilometers, making it the largest federal subject of Russia. Winter here lasts 8 months, with temperatures that challenge the limits of human endurance. Yet 6 major time zones stretch across this single republic, a land so vast that sunrise in the east happens while the West still sleeps in darkness. Yakutsk rises from the permafrost as the capital and beating heart of this frozen realm. Home to over 300,000 people, it holds the title of Earth's coldest major city. January temperatures regularly drop to -40 degrees Celsius, sometimes plunging to -60. The cold here has weight and presence. Metal becomes brittle, rubber shatters like glass, and exposed skin freezes in minutes. Buildings stand on stilts driven deep into the permafrost, while thick fog from human breath and car exhaust hangs over the streets like a permanent winter cloud. Even colder than Yakutsk, the village of Oymyakon claims the title of coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. The official record stands at -71.2 degrees Celsius, measured in 1926. Only 500 people call this place home. Here, the ground never thaws, creating permafrost that reaches depths of 1,500 meters. Locals cannot grow crops, so their diet consists mainly of reindeer meat, horse meat, and fish. School continues until temperatures drop below -52 degrees. Life adapts to the extreme, with residents keeping their cars running 24 hours a day during winter's deepest freeze. Despite these harsh conditions, the people of Yakutia have thrived here for centuries. The indigenous Sakha people developed unique ways to survive, from traditional fur clothing to underground food storage carved into the permafrost. Modern technology now meets ancient wisdom in these settlements. Satellite dishes sprout from traditional wooden houses, while smartphones work alongside reindeer herding. This land of extremes shows us that humans can adapt to almost any environment Earth offers. From Yakutsk's frozen streets, we venture into one of Earth's most notorious roads. The Kolyma Highway stretches over 2,000 kilometers through Russia's Far East. Known as the Road of Bones, this route carries a weight far heavier than its asphalt and gravel surface. Built by prisoners of Stalin's labor camps between 1932 and 1953, it connects Yakutsk to the port city of Magadan on the Sea of Okhotsk. The highway earned its grim name from the darkest chapter of its construction. Hundreds of thousands of political prisoners and common criminals worked in conditions that defy imagination. When workers died from cold, exhaustion, or starvation, their bodies became part of the road itself. Guards buried them beneath the permafrost and gravel, creating a mass grave that stretches for thousands of kilometers. Today, the road still serves as the main artery through this remote region, though few travelers know they drive over the remains of the forgotten. At the eastern end of this journey sits Magadan, a city born from tragedy. Founded in 1929 as the administrative center of the Kolyma camps, it processed millions of prisoners arriving by ship. The city spreads across hills overlooking Nagev Bay, where cargo vessels once delivered human cargo to feed the mines and logging operations. Modern Magadan houses about 90,000 residents who have learned to thrive despite winter temperatures that drop to -40 degrees. The Mask of Sorrow monument now watches over the city from a hilltop, a massive concrete face that commemorates the victims of political repression. Today's Kolyma Highway remains one of the world's most challenging drives. Summer turns sections into muddy swamps, while winter freezes the route into an ice corridor. Truckers hauling supplies to remote settlements know every dangerous curve and river crossing. The road passes through taiga forests, crosses mountain passes, and skirts frozen rivers that flow north to the Arctic Ocean. Despite modern improvements, nature and history ensure this highway never becomes just another route through the wilderness. Our journey carries us eastward to Siberia's edge, where the continent meets the Pacific in a dramatic collision of fire and ice. The Kamchatka Peninsula stretches into the ocean like a massive finger pointing south, a land where volcanoes rise from the sea and bears outnumber people. This remote territory spans 400,000 square kilometers of wilderness, larger than Japan, yet home to fewer than 300,000 souls. Here, the Ring of Fire shows its raw power through steam and ash. Kluchevskaya Sopka dominates the peninsula's volcanic landscape, standing as the highest active volcano in all of Eurasia. Its perfect cone rises 4,750 meters into the sky, often wrapped in clouds of its own making. This giant never truly sleeps. Steam constantly drifts from its summit, and every few years, rivers of lava paint glowing lines down its slopes. The mountain has erupted more than 100 times in recorded history, each event adding new layers to its massive form. On the peninsula's eastern shore sits Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, a city born from Russian exploration and naval ambition. Founded in 1740 by Vitus Bering, it grew around one of the finest natural harbors in the Pacific. Today, Soviet-era apartment blocks stand against a backdrop of snow-capped peaks, creating a striking contrast between human determination and natural grandeur. The city serves as the gateway to Kamchatka's wilderness, where fishing boats share the harbor with military vessels. Life here follows rhythms set by volcanoes and tides rather than human schedules. Brown bears fish for salmon in crystal streams, while geysers shoot boiling water into frigid air. The peninsula remains one of Earth's last frontiers, where nature still writes the rules. Those who call Kamchatka home have learned to live with earthquakes, volcanic ash, and months of winter darkness, accepting these challenges as the price for dwelling in one of the planet's most spectacular landscapes. We venture closer to these volcanic giants, where Mutnovsky reveals Earth's molten heart beneath the frozen surface. This active giant rises from the Kamchatka Peninsula, where the Pacific Ring of Fire meets Russian wilderness. Steam constantly billows from its crater, a reminder that beneath the frozen surface, Earth's molten heart still beats. The volcano last erupted in 2013, sending ash clouds high into the Arctic sky. The approach to Mutnovsky reveals a landscape torn between ice and fire. Glaciers cling to the volcano's slopes, while sulfur gases hiss from vents in the rock. The main crater spans nearly 2 kilometers across, holding within it a turquoise lake that steams even in summer. Waterfalls cascade down the crater walls, their mist mixing with volcanic vapors to create an otherworldly scene. Further north lies the Valley of Geysers, hidden deep within Kronotsky Nature Reserve. This narrow canyon holds the second largest concentration of geysers on Earth, with over 40 hot springs shooting water skyward. The valley remained unknown to the outside world until 1941, when a Soviet scientist stumbled upon it during a research expedition. Today, steam columns rise between colorful mineral deposits that paint the canyon walls in yellows, reds, and greens. The geysers here follow their own ancient rhythms. Some erupt every 20 minutes like clockwork, while others wait hours between displays. The largest, called Velikan or Giant, sends boiling water 30 meters into the air. Between eruptions, the valley fills with the sound of bubbling mud pots and hissing fumaroles, creating a natural symphony that has played for thousands of years. A boat carries us further still, beyond the Kamchatka coast, to where volcanic islands rise from turbulent Pacific waters. Onekotan Island emerges from the Kuril chain, like a forgotten world. This remote outpost sits between the Sea of Okhotsk and the Pacific Ocean, shaped by fire and ice. No permanent residents call this place home. Only researchers and the occasional adventurer who brave the journey to witness raw nature at work. The island itself stretches just under 50 kilometers in length, yet holds geological wonders that defy its modest size. Two volcanic peaks dominate the landscape, connected by a narrow strip of land that forms a natural bridge. Between them lies a perfectly circular lake, Teletskoye, created by an ancient volcanic explosion. This ring-shaped body of water sits inside a caldera, its dark surface reflecting the ever-changing Kuril sky. Ebeko volcano commands the northern end of Onekotan, its summit often wrapped in sulfurous clouds. This active giant stands at 1,156 meters, regularly reminding visitors of its power. Steam and gas plumes rise from multiple vents near the crater, painting yellow and white patterns across dark volcanic rock. During periods of increased activity, ash columns shoot thousands of meters into the atmosphere, visible from neighboring islands across the strait. Life persists here despite the harsh conditions and isolation. Arctic foxes hunt among the rocky shores, while Stella's sea eagles patrol the coastline. In summer, the tundra-like vegetation bursts into color with wild flowers adapted to volcanic soil. The surrounding waters teem with marine life, from sea otters to massive pods of orcas that patrol these productive feeding grounds. Onekotan remains one of Earth's last truly wild places, where volcanic forces continue shaping land far from human interference. We sail south through these island chains to Sakhalin, where Siberia's story continues in the Pacific. On Sakhalin Island, the regional capital of Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk rises from a valley surrounded by mountains. Founded in 1882 as a Russian penal colony, this city has transformed into the island's largest settlement. Today, around 200,000 people call it home, living in a place where Soviet-era apartment blocks stand alongside modern shopping centers and Japanese-influenced architecture. Just outside the city, Gorny Vozdukh ski resort spreads across the mountain slopes. What began as a small ski area in the 1960s has grown into Sakhalin's premier winter destination. The resort offers 25 kilometers of trails that wind through forests and open slopes. During summer months, the ski lifts carry hikers and mountain bikers instead of skiers, revealing panoramic views of the city below and the Sea of Okhotsk stretching to the horizon. At the southern tip of Sakhalin Island stands Aniva Lighthouse, one of the most remote lighthouses in the world. Built by the Japanese in 1939 on a rocky outcrop called Sivuchia Rock, this 7-story concrete tower rises 31 meters above the waves. The lighthouse operated for decades, guiding ships through the treacherous La Perouse Strait between Sakhalin and Hokkaido. Abandoned since the 1990s, it now stands empty, battered by Pacific storms. Reaching Aniva requires a boat journey through waters known for sudden weather changes and strong currents. The lighthouse's Art Deco design shows Japanese engineering adapted to withstand earthquakes and typhoons. Its round tower contains multiple levels that once housed keepers and equipment. Today, seabirds nest in the broken windows while waves crash against the rocks below, creating a haunting scene at the edge of the Russian Far East. Yet Siberia's story doesn't end in ice and isolation. At the far eastern edge, where this vast land finally meets the Pacific, stands Vladivostok. This port city perches on hills that tumble down to the sea, a place where Russian architecture meets Asian winds. Ships from around the world dock here, making it Russia's gateway to the Pacific. Golden Horn Bay cuts deep into the city's heart, its waters sheltered and calm. Named after Istanbul's famous inlet, this natural harbor has shaped Vladivostok since its founding. Naval vessels share the waters with cargo ships and fishing boats. The bay's shores hold shipyards, terminals, and promenades where locals watch the maritime ballet unfold each day. The Russky Bridge soars above these waters, connecting the mainland to Russky Island. Completed in 2012, its cables stretch higher than any other cable-stayed bridge on Earth. The span reaches over a kilometer across the eastern Bosphorus Strait. From below, the bridge appears to float, its white towers piercing fog that often rolls in from the sea. This is where Trans-Siberian Railway journeys end, after crossing 9 time zones from Moscow. Vladivostok exists as both finale and beginning. A city where European Russia touches the Pacific Rim. Where morning light first strikes Russian soil, hours before it reaches the western borders. To understand the distances we've traveled, we board the iron road that connects this vast land, the Trans-Siberian Railway. The Trans-Siberian Railway stretches 9,289 kilometers from Moscow to Vladivostok. It crosses 8 time zones and takes 7 days to complete. Built between 1891 and 1916, this iron road opened Siberia to the world and remains the longest railway line on Earth. The journey brings us to Novosibirsk, Siberia's unofficial capital and Russia's third largest city. Founded in 1893 as a bridge crossing for the railway, it grew from a small settlement to a metropolis of 1.6 million people. The Ob River flows through its heart, one of the world's longest rivers that begins in the Altai Mountains and ends in the Arctic Ocean. Winter here lasts from November to March, with temperatures dropping to -40 degrees Celsius. Just 30 kilometers south of Novosibirsk lies Akademgorodok, or Academic Town. Built in the 1950s, this unique settlement houses Russia's scientific elite. Pine and birch forests surround research institutes and universities. Scientists here work on everything from nuclear physics to genetic research. The town was designed as a self-contained community where researchers could live and work away from city distractions. The Trans-Siberian Railway continues east from here, crossing frozen rivers and endless taiga. Each station tells its own story of survival and adaptation. Passengers watch as the landscape shifts from forest to steppe to mountain. This steel ribbon connects not just cities, but entire worlds within Siberia's vast expanse. Out here, time stretches wide like the frozen rivers in Yakutia. The wind moves between silence and storm. Life doesn't rush, but it pulses, through the creak of ancient trees, across iced plateaus, inside each breath that turns to frost. Siberia isn't just a place you visit. It's something that lingers. From the blue shadows of the Putorana Plateau to the glowing sands of Chara, from the stone giants of the Lena Pillars to the edge of Avacha Bay where fire meets ice, every corner holds something rare. Click on the video that's appearing now to continue your journey of the wonders of the world.